My honey holes are just holes at this point. So I'm headed up to the Goodwill outlet where I can get inventory in bulk and only pay by the pound to make up for the lack of scores that I'm finding in my regular stores. But who could have predicted that on this trip to the bins, they would have to call the police? It got hairy for a little bit. We had to evacuate, and I will explain all of this to you in just a bit.
Alrighty, we are headed in to what we hope to be a very profitable, very uneventful trip to the Goodwill Bins. Anyway, we're going to start out with Fjallraven. Anyway, this is a Canada shirt. If I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, give me a little bit of grace. It is what it is. But this is a great pickup to start the sourcing endeavor. Let's be honest. Blue color, I have mine listed for $70, already photographed, already got it cleaned. It was in really nice shape. Some of these sell pre-owned upwards of $100, but this is a size XL. I'm absolutely satisfied with that. It's not often these days that I've even spending close to $70 at a single trip to the bins. I should probably spend a little bit more, but time is limited. I've got kids at home and, balancing that and being a father and trying to be there for them as much as I can while also growing a business, it can be a real challenge. So I don't get a ton of time to spend at the bins, although coming soon, I am tossing around the idea in my head of doing a bins video from open to close. Keep that in mind. I might do it soon. Here's my next pickup. This is a Howler. This is called the Loggerhead, I believe. Loggerhead hoodie, very thin t-shirt like, but this is still going to be good for about, I would say, in between $25 to $35. Howler Brothers is another good brand, another one you want to look up for resale. So between Fjallraven and Howler Brothers, we're looking really good right now. Two really solid pickups, and I expect both of them to sell in a reasonable amount of time. And I'm talking even when I price at the higher end more than 50% of the time, I think I still sell them within the next 30 days. So good brands, fast sellers, we're doing great. And while we're feeling good about ourselves, you want to know what I really love about the Columbus Goodwill outlet location? It's always very calm. Customers are amazing. There's never any drama. Nothing ever really happens here. It's just a nice, calm, no police involvement establishment. All right, anyway, let's see what else we can dig out of here. This looks like one of those, you buy those at the Haunted Classic, like a gymnastics meet or like a soccer event or something like that. I looked and thought about these rock revivals, but you'll see on the back here, I don't mind that there's bleach. I don't mind that there's like fringe at the bottom or those are torn up. That's okay in some cases. But when you flip the jeans over, even the hole, like that distressed hole, like there's a market for everything here. Except for when you flip the pants over, if you look right there, the button is missing. Now, those buttons are in there pretty tight, and those are not easy to come. They don't come out easily. So this person, I don't know how that happened, but they must have been really rough with that. Listen, it could have been an accident. Who knows? I'm making assumptions, but the fact that button is missing eliminates them from contention as far as me picking them up, and they were really heavy too. Those are heavy jeans. So if you're still selling Rock Revival, and I know it's probably something to the effect of it depends on the style. You saw my style video on the Allen Edmonds shoes that I just sold. Even though Allen Edmonds tends to retain its value really well, style does matter. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and see that because I've identified a style that always seems to hold its value if you're in good condition. But the style might matter, but if you're having success selling Rock Revival jeans, please let me know. And then you also have to let me know if you're do you price low? How do you price? Because I like to stay on the high side in most cases. So Patagonia jacket. I think this is I forget this. This is a retool. This is not a better sweater, but it's a snap tee, I think is what it is. These are usually good right now for around $20 to $25. They're not huge sellers. We might get some price stabilization coming into the winter months where you're not hurry up and waiting for the 25 or 30, and maybe you can get away with pricing them at 35. But my experience tells me otherwise. So it's probably $25. And then this is a really interesting moshiki. This skirt right here. I'm gonna take the Patagonia and I'm gonna take this skirt. This skirt is reversible, and I have it listed for $30. They are pretty decent sellers. I don't know how long it's going to take coming into fall and winter, but it's very light and it's something that's new to me. So I'm gonna hold on to it and test it, and we'll see what happens. So we have some good finds. And then I'm gonna grab a couple of Nike items. So if you look at that tag, that's a vintage tag. I believe that's from the 1990s. We have a 2X with the embroidered swoosh. It's a green color. It's got a little bit of bleach. I went into the soles and I looked for soles that had some type of wear, some type of damage, like the bleach that I have, like the color discoloration around the collar. They still seem to sell. So vintage 90s with the swoosh tee. I am going to list it for around $25 to $30. It's a 2XL. It's 100% authentic based on both of the tags. That tag that you were looking at right there and the tag underneath. So that market is hot right now. So we will see. I don't sell a ton of vintage Nike, but we're going to give it a shot. And then this jacket right here is really clean, although it's a little bit wrinkled. At first glance, it looks like it's a Nike cycling jersey, Team USA. I saw sold that was around $22 with 13 shipping, so add it all together, $35. I think I will price mine at around $30 to $35 once I do a little bit more research on it. I'm not exactly sure that it is in fact for the cycling team, but once I go back into Terapeak and I spend a little bit more time on my desktop doing the research, I still think it's probably going to get $30. But it being a cycling windbreaker, I'm not exactly sure. But Team USA, that's going to work for anybody because it doesn't specifically say cycling on it. So good pickup there. And yeah, we got some explosive sales right here, or finds rather. This is great. What else do we have here? This looked like this was Duluth. 44.32. These were going to be a little bit heavy. I don't know if you guys are picking up Duluth, but I see a lot of their pants in the bins at the outlet. And I don't pick up most of them, but maybe I should be looking at them a little closer. I feel like I sold a Flex Fire Hose pair once in my career in reselling. But it's one of those brands I kind of, if we're talking pants, I glaze over it a little bit. They do have other items that they manufacture that probably do a little bit better in the resale market, but I just always tend to pass up on the pants. But if that's a mistake, I want you to let me know. Next thing that I'm going to grab here is a Whataburger. This is a Whataburger like t-shirt hoodie. Now it's hard to tell inside the bins under these lights when we're talking about items that are white. It had some surface stains when I photographed it, so I priced it really low, and it ended up selling very quickly for, I think, $11. The nice thing about that was it only cost me 90 cents based on its weight, so it was basically all profits. So, and it's the fact that it sold in under 24 hours is fantastic because of the stains, because of the flaws. But if you find one of those and it's in better condition, we're talking $25 to $35 for those. So those are kind of sleeper items. That Whataburger brand, definitely look for those. Glad that thing sold. It was the first thing that sold from this haul of mine. And then you see these mountain khakis. There's some pilling going on. I know that can be fixed, but I don't think mountain khaki, even with convertible pants, is a pickup. So I'm just going to pass on those. I don't like what I see when I look at the solds and I'm trying to do some research. So Posh Diva, I don't even know. I probably should have looked that up. I've never heard of it. I was assuming that was generic, so I'm going to pass on those. We have some graphic tees. I'm not exactly sure what that was all about. Let's just keep going to the bottom here. Claiborne, that's not a pickup. I mean, out of the finds that I have so far, we're really doing well. This was a great trip. A nice, safe trip where nothing happened. What does that say? Retrology. Huh. Never heard of that. Maybe that's anthropology. Madewell. This felt like it was washed, and so it felt kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It almost felt too tight, if you understand what I'm saying. And the fact that it was a double extra small, I think I'm just going to pass on that one as well. I know a lot of people do great with Madewell bread and butter. Maybe Poshmark is a better avenue for that. I don't cross list, so it's just eBay for me. All those things taking into consideration on passing on that item. All right, the bags, not a whole lot going on in terms of belts and bags, but I did find some really nice hats that I want to show you right here. The first one is going to be this Hannah hats. So this is a nice 100% Irish wool newsboy. It's got like that patchwork pattern. These are great. One recently sold for $40, so I'm going to list mine for $40. I think the one that sold was a size large. Mine is a medium. It was very, very clean. And then Gran Centurino, I've never heard of this before. This hat is super light. I know I have some work to do on the front of it, but I think I'm going to put this up for $20 and just see what happens. It's one of those, like, you just throw it up and you hold on to it and you never know. So we'll say $20 on that. The Travis Matthew hat, that could have been good, but you can see the stain on there. I'm not going to be the one to spend time cleaning that hat, so I'm just going to leave that behind, but I definitely will grab this Brooks hat. This is super, super light. This may have cost maybe 30 cents. It's a Run Happy hat. New ones sell for around 20. I think I'll list mine between 15 and 20, but it's like free money when it's coming from the bins if it's that light. So this Tommy Bahama I forgot to look up. That is a nice, like, summertime, maybe insulated cooler. But if we're talking bags, it really does depend on the amount of competition that's there that day at the bins, and then how deep they have filled them. Lately, it seems like the bags that come out, when they do come out, the bins are really only half full. So, and you never know. It's not always like that. So just the last couple of times that I've been here, the pickings seem to have been slim, and I am going to fight tooth and nail with this generic bag to get it open to see if we can find a brand. We can't, so I have to pass on that. Way too much damage on that bucket bag with the fringe. Cool looking though. Anyone recognize that logo? I didn't look them up. Who is that? It said WD, I think. W something. Anything else over here? Let's swing around. Let's check underneath some of the luggage. Anything hidden? There's a Barbie insulated lunch pail there. And as always, as a friendly reminder, if you see something that I may have missed that you think had value or that you have sourced before or previously, do let us know in the comments. Everybody is here to learn. But it was right about now-ish, and things were going to get a little weird here at the Columbus, Ohio, Bryce Road Goodwill outlet. This nice, calm, nothing ever happens area. Got a mission hat, can't really use that. Kind of wallet we have here. Steve Madden, can't use that either. Just kind of striking out on bags. Kenneth Cole, this was a nice leather bag. I think it had a little bit too much wear, and I don't do a ton of Kenneth Cole, so I have to leave that behind. Black Diamond, don't know what that is. Now, you won't be able to hear this, but in the background, we hear some pretty heavy footsteps, like somebody running pretty quickly.
It was at this point that a Goodwill employee runs out from the back and asks all of us frantically to leave, evacuate the building immediately, do not check out, do not pass go, do not collect $200. So we ran out just as fast as we ran in.
So as everybody is starting to evacuate, I noticed that there is a police officer already here. Looks pretty calm, looks pretty collected. What they're trying to do is get everybody out of the building, all of the employees included, as fast as they can. Now, eventually, they started to call backup, so more and more police will arrive on the scene, and what they thought they found was a live grenade. So they made the right call, called 911. The police are here to secure the area. And as the rest of us file out of the building, the police made the determination that they did not need to call the bomb squad because the grenade was in fact fake. So within about 10 minutes, we were all back in the building, back to sourcing. Big shout out to Columbus Police and big shout out to the Goodwill employees for handling this properly. And if you ever come in contact with what you think is a live grenade, for goodness sake, do not touch it. Make sure the area is secured. Call 911 immediately and let the professionals do their job. Way to go, guys. All right, now that we're back to our regularly scheduled thrifting, we have some more Patagonia. These are great. This is a base layer Capeline. These are very warm if you ever put them on. Great color, style, 44486, something along those lines. These are a men's small, tight and warm. These are great. These are going to be good for about $30. I love picking these up. This is probably the third or fourth time I found these at the bins, and they always sell. So you'll see these in a black color as well. They're definitely desirable, and we're coming up on fall and winter, so that is a great find. I am excited to pick those up. And then I think I'm probably going to leave the Rain Defender Carhartt. It's got too much wear. There's a lot. The deal here is there's probably a market for this Carhartt on the internet, but there's a lot of it. So I feel like, with the distressed, like worn stains, like the market for this is much smaller than I think a lot of people realize. This is much different than finding a Carhartt jacket or one of those vintage ones that those sell so fantastically well. This is a different story, so I'm going to leave it behind. I'm not going to mess with it. What I want to know is, do you have a crazy bins story? I mean, for a while there, everybody was kind of nervous. Like, why do we have to evacuate? What is going on here? This is super sudden. They wouldn't let anyone check out. And we thought maybe like there was maybe there was an employee incident or something like that. But I really do have to give a shout out to everybody that was involved, because really very quickly, being outside, they determined that what they were dealing with is, as I'm getting the story, was in fact fake, and we were back at it. So big shout out to all of the staff involved, as well as the Columbus Fuzz. So do you have a crazy bin story? Tell me about it. Let us know in the comments. Let's see if there's other wacky things happening at Goodwill Bins across the country. I want to know about it. Shout that out in the comment section while I keep on digging. And we're trying to find more money here. So let's move over to one of these middle bins. There's a little Squishmallow there, out of place. Did it have a tag on it? No, that doesn't have a tag. It's like a little corn on the cob guy or something like that. He was kind of cool. I see lots of shorts, lots of stuff that I'm not really going to pay attention to for fall and winter, unless it's a really good brand. I think this is Croft and Barrow, that vest. I can't really use that. So we'll have to pass on that. I did find a nice, I think it was an Orvis vest the last time I was here, so that was a pretty good find. Lots of t-shirts, lots of Gap, lots of Old Navy. You guys know the drill if you've been watching me source at the bins here in Columbus. It's just we get a lot of that. And I know you folks across the country get a lot of it as well. So I am not the only one. We are not the only ones here. And here's a surprise. This is a Gap Fair Isle wool alpaca, very soft mock neck sweater. I forget what size I've got. I think it's maybe a large. When I was sourcing it at the time, I couldn't find the tag, and I'm like, this feels really nice. I'm going to grab it. So I didn't learn that it was Gap until I took it home. Lucky for me, there's a $45 pre-owned sold, and not the exact size, but definitely the exact garment. If you would have told me that there were $45 Gap items out there in the wild, pre-owned, I would not have believed you. But right next to this, Rowback, this is called the Sit Polo. It's got an all-over dog print. What a score. Size medium, like new condition. I already have the Fair Isle up for $45, and I've got that Rowback up for $70. If you didn't know that little dog logo was a thing, make sure you put that on your list, because not only is it a bolo, they are fast sellers. So the market still, to this day, has not caught up. I think they just might be limited run everything still to this day. What tends to happen to these brands is as they get bigger, the funds start coming in, it's much easier for them to go faster fashion, right? And so they mass produce. This company doesn't seem like they're mass producing right now. So it's keeping the inventory numbers low and keeping the resale value really high. And it's they're cool looking. They're nice looking shirts. So all over print, dog, purple color, size medium, $70. Great find. Who knew on the Gap? I mean, if it was some vintage Gap leather, then I would understand. But it definitely was not. So big surprise. Great. I'm telling you though, what a nice feel to that Fair Isle Gap mock sweater. So it's just the bomb today. You know what I'm saying? So many good finds. Now, I didn't show you everything that I sourced in this video, but boy, we did well. I think I'm going to pass on these Columbia. These look like rain pants. They might even be vintage. They're super light. I don't know why I passed on them. I think I was just like ready to get out of there at this point. So that might have been something that I shouldn't have skipped. But listen, we have so many good items, lots of bread and butter and everything else in between. And best of all, we survived the potential grenade explosion.
The grenade was fake. We lived to source another day. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to see more explosive Goodwill Bins content like that, make sure you are a subscriber to the channel. But that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.